Welcome, Eagles, to the Eagle Q&A. This is the first one we've had in a while, but we've got a new semester on the horizon, and we've got folks here to answer any questions you might have about the upcoming semester, especially if this is your first semester with CTC. If you're a returning student, that's fine too, because I'm sure that you've encountered questions or situations that have sparked questions for you, and we're here to answer questions about admissions and registration, financial aid, veteran services, any other questions, class delivery, for example, anything that you might have questions about CTC. We're here to help you and get you rolling and get those questions answered. I'm Bruce Fassbinder. I'm in the marketing department, and I'm just going to go around real quick and introduce everybody before we get started. Next to me on the screen is Richard Lewis. He's in the advising and he handles transcripts and those kind of things. Then next to him is Julie Starkey. She's over student success and persistence. The Central Texas College logo is Mariceli Vargas. She's at the student life director. In the middle there is Morgan Powell. She works with Julie Starkey and handles the academic studio and a whole bunch of other student services aspects. Next to her is Pearl Creviston in financial aid. Directly below her is Lucette Brett with veteran services. And next to Lucette is Angela Reese. She is a bigwig in the business administration department, and she's going to answer questions about classes and class delivery and so forth. So let's get started. And one thing before we get, a couple of house cleaning items. First one, this will be presented later on YouTube. We're recording this, so it'll be available on YouTube. So if you miss any aspect of this, you can review it later. Also, if you can keep your questions to the directed to the person that is presenting at that time. For example, if Richard is talking about admissions and registration, hold your financial aid questions until Pearl comes up. If we get to the end and we haven't answered your question, then speak up and we'll get to you, believe me. But we want to try to keep things in a flowing order so we don't miss anything or get out of order and forget something. So try to keep your questions in line with the person that is speaking. Again, you can use the chat feature. You can also use the Facebook Live feature there that Mariceli is monitoring. So we have ways of getting you getting in touch with us. So I'm going to start with Richard. Richard works, he handles transcripts and admissions and advising. So Richard, just kind of tell us how does someone get started at CTC first, and then we'll field questions and that kind of thing. And also after you talk about that, I know a big thing is transcripts, but let's start with admissions first, and then we'll get to the transcript aspect.
For sure. Well, with all my experience, I've come up with like a little 5-point checklist for new students just to make sure you got everything right. So the first thing is apply. Apply to the college for sure. After you do that, we review your residency just to make sure we have your tuition rate and all that good stuff in check. So I check to see if you apply. If there's an application on file, great. After that, I try to see what your degree plan is. So we offer associate's degree certificates, and depending on which one you pick, you might be TSI liable, which brings me to my third point. So if you haven't taken the TSI assessment, SAT, or have college credits from another college, then that's something you're definitely going to need to sign up for classes. So after we get cleared to enroll, we know what to enroll for. We want to make sure you could pay for classes. So financial aid, if you're using VA benefits, grants from outside institutions, we accept all of that. Um, so we get the payment prepared. And then after that, we make sure you have access to Eagle Self-Service, which is where you go to search and register for classes. Um, and I actually have my screen up, so I'll share real quick if you don't mind what that looks like. It's gonna look a little bit different because I'm an employee, so I have a lot of different tabs that you guys may not have. But what you want to be thinking about is the financial aid section to make sure you have your financial aid stuff situated. Student finance, if you're making payments out of pocket, you can go right there. And then you can go to bank account information to update your direct deposit. That way you're not receiving a physical check. But typically what you're gonna do is go to student planning, and there's going to be two options here. You can go to My Progress. You can view your degree online. It'll show you all the classes you need, all the different sections you need to fulfill. So, for example, if you need a creative arts class, if you go there, it'll show you all the classes that will meet that requirement. As a matter of fact, let me click on mine and see where I'm at. Right now, it says academic undeclared because I don't have a degree plan, and that's fine. Um, so I'll just go back. So go home, student planning. But once you figure out what classes you want, let's say you want composition one, you can actually type it in right here. It'll bring up the class. But what you guys want to do is make sure you're clicking view available sections. A lot of people just add the class and then they're wondering why they can't register. You need to add a specific section. And you want to be careful because it's going to show you everywhere in the world. If you look right here in locations, you see it says Fort Benning. We're clearly not there. So what you can do is go over here to locations. narrow down what you want to see. So in this case, I'm gonna click distance learning. It's only gonna show me online classes. And sometimes it reshuffles it, so you just want to be mindful of that. Find your class, find the available sections. Right now, we're looking at the fall semester. This tells you the start date, the end date. And if you look right here, this class says 0 waitlisted. That means it's full and people would be waiting to get into it. If you scroll down a little bit more, you see where it says seats, 7 seats available. That means it's open for enrollment and you can still get into that class. So yeah, just be mindful of the start date, end date. This one starts August 22nd, ends December 9th. This one starts August 22nd, ends December 4th. Oh, October 14th, excuse me. It's a shorter class. It's an 8-week class. So let's say this is the one I would like. I would add it to my schedule. It's going to give you a lot more information for you to confirm and things like that. It's going to let you know, like, hey, this one has a wait list. It also lets you know if you need TSI for any class. So you can also just check with any other class if you need math or English TSI first. But boom, I'm going to add it to my schedule. My light just went off. There we go. Boom.
was
So I added it
entertaining.
to my schedule. You can add as many classes you want to your schedule. You just need to be able to go back to your schedule and confirm that class. Just like online shopping. Add it to your cart, confirm the purchase. Boom. Then I'm going to go to my schedule. I'm going to make sure I'm in the correct semester. And then I can double check if this is the class I want. If the class is full, you can select wait list to get on the wait list for it. So when something comes available, you might be able to get inside. If the class has seats available, it should say register right now. And if you decide you don't want the class, you just click off of it, remove. And that's kind of the registration process. It's straightforward, but you just got to remember you got to add it to your schedule, go to your schedule, and confirm the class.
Richard, we
Um,
had one question come in real quick
sure,
regarding online classes. How can you tell if an online course is self-paced or not self-paced?
great question. Let me show you. So we go back here. We're going to narrow down to distance learning. It's only going to show us distance learning classes. So if you click distance learning and your class does not pop up and you can't find it right here, that's an indication that it's not available online. But if you click it, let me see if I can find one that'll give me a good example. Cool. Um, like I was saying before, you look at the class information, look at the start date, end date, how many seats are available. But if you look at the locations, it's going to say 100% distance learning. And this one says online lecture. And what that means is there's going to be due dates every week. So they're going to have due dates listed for you. If you scroll down one, you'll see that this one says online self-paced. So there are no due dates. The first week of class, they may have an assignment for you to do to show you're an active student, but after that, they give you recommended due dates. So if you happen to miss a week or something, or you have an emergency, you won't be penalized for it. Just make sure you do get everything done in a timely manner before the end of class, so that way you can just make sure everything is okay with your grades, you have enough time to complete assignments, things like that. So some people that need structure, the online lecture might be good for you. Some people that are, self-motivated, that online self-paced might be a good option for you.
And one thing that came up in previous sessions with the self-paced course, the students do need to check in to be able to stay in that class. Is that correct?
Correct. First week of class, like I mentioned, would be that week to show that you're an active student. So there may be an online student agreement to complete. There may be like an introductory post you need to make. But that first week of class, make sure you are making sure that your instructor knows you are active and you're aware of the requirements of the self-paced course.
And will they have to do that periodically throughout the semester to check in, even though it's self-paced, just so they show that they're active in the class before getting dropped?
To my best knowledge, you just need to do that one assignment that first week of class that kind of indicates you're aware it's self-paced, that is, that you are going to be working on it. And then after that, you can kind of schedule, your assignments as you need. But that wouldn't be a bad idea to periodically just check in with your instructor, make sure you're on the right track. Um, Ask for help if you need it. Just because it's an online class, you're not alone. We have a lot of different resources on campus, off campus. Um, you know,
Okay. Uh,
I did see another question. Is that the question you asked me? Or
yes, that was the one. Yeah, there might be another one there. Yeah, how do students get logged into Eagle Self-Service?
um so if you already have an Eagle self-service account and you try to log into it, like within the last week, they probably prompted you to update your password. It needs to be a 16-character password nowadays. But a quick way to find Eagle Self-Service is if you go to the main webpage, you click Student Tools, you can click Eagle Self-Service, and it'll bring you to the login page for Eagle Self-Service. This is also where you can get a lot of other logins. You can log into your email from here. You can log into Blackboard from here, which is where you go to participate in online classes. And then you can also log into your student forms or your eTrees account here. So if you need to submit a registration form, an academic probation agreement, you can go there and submit those documents. You can also get your transcripts here. And then here you see that little note I was mentioning. Effective July 5th, students will be required to change their password to a 16-character passphrase. So just be mindful of that, okay? What else you guys got? Any questions, comments, concerns up to this point?
I'm looking through right now, see if anything else has come through. And nothing else has come through as of yet. Let's see. So what class delivery? Angela will talk, Dr. Reese will talk about that briefly. But transcripts. Let's talk about transcripts briefly. I know that's a concern for a lot of students. Incoming and outgoing transcripts. I know you probably get hit up quite a bit for transcript requests. So if you can kind of walk through real quick the for incoming transcripts as well as those leaving us to go to a four-year university.
Sure. Real quick though, I think Pearl had a question.
I did. I wanted to ask students' number one issue with financial aid, trying to get information and get into student self-serve seems to be a constant issue. They're locked out, they can't get reset, they don't know how to get in, they didn't know they had an Eagle self-serve password. So is there still, we used to have web advisors, there's still a self-service help desk that they can use without sending them to IT? Because a lot of times it's not even an IT issue.
No, for sure. For Eagle self-service, like I am able to reset passwords, so an advisor can do that. The registration desk also has the ability to reset Eagle self-service passwords. So if you've never logged in and you don't know what your default password is, you can contact Central Records and Registration, and they are actually able to reset the password for you. So that way you can just start with a fresh start. But there
That's,
should have been like a email they get when they first apply.
that was my question. I was trying to figure out, students said they
Mm.
don't know, that nobody
It's
ever told them.
Yeah, it's hit or miss sometimes. I've had some students who say they have received the email. I think a lot of other students get the email to their junk inbox and they kind of never check it. But either way, you follow up with our department and we'll get you right. Did I
Thank
answer
you
your
for that
question?
part.
Going back to Bruce with the transcripts.
Yes.
Um, Incoming transcripts. That means you're sending in college credits from another school. Um, you definitely want to do that as soon as possible. You know, that transcript articulation takes some time. But when you send in your transcripts, that gives us a chance to review your classes, see if you can get credit for the classes. I mentioned TSI before. That's another way to establish your TSI status. If your TSI complete with another school and it's indicated on their transcript, then you can transfer in TSI ready. If you take in maybe college algebra or English at a different school, you know, we can receive those college credits and determine your TSI status that way. And then also, if you submit an application and you listed a college that you've attended previously, we would need that for you to graduate. So definitely send in all transcripts you got, high school, college, JSTs, military transcripts. We accept those as well. So that would be incoming transcript. And then you can either send it to the physical address we have on file, or you can send it via email to incoming.transcripts@ctcd.edu. So you wouldn't be personally sending that. The school would send it directly to us because if you send it to us, it's going to be unofficial. We need it to be official, meaning it comes from the school directly to that email from like their school to our school. Or if you submit it physically, it needs to be in a sealed envelope. In terms of outgoing transcripts, so that means you want to get your credits here transferred to another school. You do need to go online to do that. I do believe they are charging you now. I think it's only like $5, so that's not terrible. But if you go on our main webpage, kind of go to that student tools section that I showed you before, you'll see where it says transcript. Or you can just search transcript services on our main webpage, and it'll give you the information on how to request them and things of that nature. But
Okay.
that's the biggest thing. We don't just send your transcripts to whatever school because you're going there. You have to request them to be sent there.
Okay, and we did have a question, and I think Pearl answered that. Where is testing being done at? It's a testing center in building 215 for TSI testing.
Correct. They would
And
need to
then,
call them to set up an appointment first. Um, it is $15 per section. I think it's $25 if you take both sections at the same time. But just speaking from experience, I wouldn't recommend that. If you take one test, your mental ability is kind of reduced already. So when you get into that next test, you're kind of just wanting to get out of there and you don't do as well as you can. So I always suggest taking those tests on 2 different days or maybe 2 different times. Maybe you take your English first, you go get some food and you come back, and then you take your math. Or you can do them both at the same time. Again, like I said, some people just want to get it done. But from my experience, I usually see students do better when they separate those tests instead of doing them back to back, because that mental fatigue is a real thing.
another question that came through is, even if CTC is going through Parchment to send transcripts, can I still come in person to pick up a hard copy?
No, I believe they stopped that. So you need to go online and request those transcripts. At some point, you used to be able to come to the enrollment center and get your physical copy. But that has been discontinued. Please go online, request those transcripts from Parchment. Um, and that's really all I got to say about that.
Fair enough, fair enough. So don't walk in and,
Correct.
and expect to get a transcript, so.
Now you can walk in and we can show you how to do it on the computer, but you're not going to be able to go up there and get a physical copy anymore.
Right. And is there a time frame that's recommended for asking for a transcript? Let's say a student is going to leave us soon to go to another school or even apply here. Is there some kind of time frame that they should follow?
Well, they just would want to wait to their final grade posts. Soon as that final grade posts, then you'll be able to get that official transcript with that class and the grade on there, and that's going to be what you need to transfer. So if you just get done with the class and you just request your transcript right now, it's probably going to show that class is still in progress. So you just want to wait until the final grade is posted so you can see that reflected on the transcript.
Is there a turnaround time for receiving the transcript?
I have no clue, to be honest. Give it maybe a week or two, but when you're sending in transcripts, they usually get here pretty quickly if you're sending them via email. When it comes to requesting transcripts, yeah, I don't want to give any false information. I have no idea, to be honest.
That's fine. That's all. That's fair.
My son sent transcripts from CTC out and they were done within 3 days.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Yeah, it went very fast. And also so that you know, when you go through Parchment, it'll ask you if you want, like if the class is still in session, it'll prompt you and it'll say, do you want us to wait and send when the
Oh.
grade is completed or updated on the transcript? So you can indicate that when you place your order through Parchment. It gives you that ability to do that. So
Nice.
they'll hold sending the transcript until the grade is posted.
Okay,
Right.
cool. Nice information.
Good deal. All right. Any questions for Richard regarding the admissions, registration, or transcript services before we move on?
If not, you guys can always reach us. If you set up an appointment, we do walk-in visits. You can email us at academic.advising@ctcd.edu. And then we can help you out from there.
Trying to type that. I'm sure Morgan's probably faster than I am as far as typing those in there, but anyway, there was my feeble attempt to try to type your your email address in there. All right, okay. And then there's another question: how do I get a copy of my official transcript sent to myself through Parchment?
I think it's the same process. I think you can indicate where you want it sent to. So you can put your physical address in there and they'll send it to your house.
Okay.
But word of warning, if you have it sent to you and then you hope to go give it to the school that you're going to, do not open that envelope. As soon as you open that envelope, it is no longer an official transcript. Now, if you're just having the transcript sent to you for your own records and because you need a copy of it, that is fine. But if it's going to the other school, you need to either have it sent straight to that other school, or if it comes to you, you need to make sure you do not open that envelope. Okay?
Good point. Good point. Excellent point. So,
That also goes for if you have the transcript emailed to you, because that is an option. You cannot use that as an official transcript anymore
No.
because it's automatically opened when you open that email.
So you're better off when you order through Parchment to actually just send it straight to the school where it's going.
good deal. All right. And we got another question about scholarships, but I think I'll wait for that for Pearl and Lucette to do their part. So
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, I don't know if I should touch on that or not, but
Yeah.
I'll let you guys hold that down. I don't want to step on any toes.
I've
No, you're
already answered
fine.
it, thank you.
Oh,
Okay, great.
well, we'll cover it again anyway, verbally for everybody when you get to that point. But thank you, Richard. We appreciate it. Any questions on admissions, registration, or transcripts or anything for Richard? Go ahead and enter them in the chat and we'll get back to him. But let's move on. Now we've talked about applying for classes. Now let's talk about paying for classes. And our expert guru on that would be Pearl Creviston, Director of Financial Aid. So Pearl, we're going to let you talk about financial aid deadlines and FAFSA and everything else students need to know to get that money.
All right. Hello, everybody, and good afternoon. I notice we are past 12 o'clock now. For fall, you are to already have completed a FAFSA, I hope, for 22-23 school year. And that will start with the fall classes, take you through spring and next summer. So that FAFSA application can already be completed, and hopefully most of you have done so. As soon as a FAFSA is received by CTC, as long as you've been admitted to the school and your social is in the system, then we will email you within 3 to 5 days from the day that you completed that FAFSA application. So if you did one months ago and you haven't heard from us, check your emails, check your junk mail, and if nothing else, I just posted my email address online for Tina, and you all can see the address on there to email me directly if you'd like, and I can check and see if your FAFSA has come in. Otherwise, you should have already heard about it, and when your Pell Grant is awarded, we accept it for you. We also offer beyond the Pell Grant, that's the free portion. We offer student loans, which I try to talk you out of at all costs because we are a low-cost institution and I don't want you to get a whole lot of student debt while you're here. I promise you, you're going to need that when you move on to a bachelor's level and upwards. The Pell Grant loan won't cover costs generally in those cases. So for all of the financial aid, you can apply every single year in October for the following fall term, which starts in August. So Department of Ed has made it easier for students to apply because now you can use your income from 2 years prior. So you're not waiting for taxes to be completed for that year before you can file. Your FAFSA is completed with tax information from 2 years prior. Also, we offer scholarships. I've already had a couple questions regarding scholarships, and you have been awarded, if you have been awarded a foundation scholarship for the 22-23 academic year, those should already be showing in Eagle Self-Serve. If you've been awarded, for instance, we have one scholarship called the Chancellor Scholarship. We award that one, but you also have to let us know when you've registered, and we look up how much tuition charges are to pay that and award it at that time. So if you haven't heard anything or you don't feel like you have enough information, then you would simply contact financial.aid or email me directly, and I can help you with your individual accounts to see what's been awarded and how it will be released. One thing I want to mention on the foundation scholarships, most of those you do not receive a balance for. So you want to make sure you take advantage of that scholarship and use as much of that money. It should go towards tuition first, but then if you need to purchase things at the bookstore, you should be able to do that with that money. But whatever is not used is actually sent back to the foundation at the end of the term if you don't use it all. So I just want you to be aware of that for foundation scholarships. Some of you have scholarships that are coming from your high school, for instance, Lampasas Independent School District, KISD, CCISD, and they tell you that you've been awarded and they give you a certificate and you generally have that. But the process then is for them to send the funding to CTC. Once those checks have been received to cover those costs, I am then notified, and it is at that time that I will be putting those scholarships on your student self-serve account for you to see. If you feel like, as if in this case, we had one student just text me about this. She said, I don't have a scholarship yet, but I know I was awarded one. then contact me directly so that I can look up your account and see what I know about it, where the information is, where the backlog may be. But if it's coming from an outside source, outside of our CTC Foundation, then you would best reach out to them, find out, have they issued the funds for the scholarship that you understood you were awarded yet? And if not, when they would do so, because you want to get that money in there before the classes start. Once your financial aid is awarded, you are free to register for classes without paying up front. This is probably another big question I get from students all the time. Your financial aid releases to the business office 10 days prior to the start of classes, but your financial aid doesn't come to you as a student until approximately 30 days after classes start. And that is because that money is transmitted to the business office, who pays any charges. They then open up bookstore charging to allow you to use that money at the CTC bookstore. You do that by using your student ID number, and it charges it against your balance. Then after about 30 days, as I said, anything that was not used, with the exception of foundation or no balance scholarships, those balances would be sent to you. And earlier, Richard alluded to you going in and signing up for direct deposit. That is the best thing you can do for yourself, especially with a big population that we have worldwide, where people move a lot and addresses change constantly. Your checks get lost in the mail, and eventually what happens, they get sent back to the Department of Education as an uncashed balance. We've returned balances to students for over $2,000 because they never cashed the check. They probably got lost, they got moved, they didn't know they had a balance coming, so they didn't even miss it. We make efforts to reach out and let you know, do you want this money? You have money outstanding, but your check is being returned because you're not at that address anymore. So I advise anyone using financial aid benefits to sign up for direct deposit always. And also update that bank information. We've had a few phone calls this last week for the summer where students said, well, I changed that account. Why didn't you guys send it to my new account? Well, you changed your account, but you didn't change it in student self-serve, so CTC has no way of knowing that. So make sure if you change a bank account once you've used it, that you update that information. So any financial aid, with the exception of the VA benefits, is handled by our financial aid office, and any questions can be directed to us. So financial.aid@CTCD or Pearl Creviston, which I see we've already had it all typed in the chat. Use that information to contact me directly, because I prefer to have your student ID number so I can look up your account and see exactly what it is you're questioning. So that's kind of financial aid right now in an overview. The one thing that I do like to talk about, and we are in desperate need of, is just went blank, work study program, sorry. The work study program, we have some of the best work studies because they're the greatest jobs on campus. You get paid to work right here on campus during your class periods. Whenever you finish a class, you can go to work for a couple hours, you can go take your next class, you can come back to work. And it is truly an awesome program because you don't have to commute. And we have to cater to your school schedule, which changes every semester. So maybe this semester you're available on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and maybe for a few hours on Friday. Next semester, it may be Mondays and Wednesdays and not at all on Friday. But because you're a financial aid work study, any place you work on campus will have to adjust your work schedule to suit your school schedule. So it's a great way to earn some extra money while you're going to school, and we need some awesome candidates. It gives you some real life work experience before you graduate. So not only do you graduate with a degree, but you might graduate with several years of work experience.
Pearl, real quick to add on to that. I actually started as a work study.
I know.
So
Awesome.
I can attest to that. So yeah, being a work study was great. It gives you real world experience. It's an actual job, so you have to work. But you get paid for it, and they are super flexible. Unlike real world jobs. Whereas if you can't work, next person. So no, I just wanted to attest to that. Work study program is great. I was able to go through it, and get a lot of experience, but then it also gave me a lot of good contacts on campus, and you see where I'm at now. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
That work
We
study
train
parlayed
the
into a
best.
full-time job, so.
it sure did.
Yeah. Pearl, one question I may have missed if you answered or not, but there was a question that came, how do I know my FAFSA ID?
Your FAFSA ID, that's if it's your user login information, only you have that, unfortunately. So if you have logged in and you can no longer recall what your login was or what your user ID was, you go to studentaid.gov. Excuse me. You go to studentaid.gov and there is a place in there to reset your password. And you would have to contact FAFSA directly. But generally, when financial aid is asking for an ID, we want your student ID with CTC.
Okay. Another question that came through, what happens if someone has another college scholarship and would like, for example, Mississippi State and wants to use it here at CTC?
Generally, it doesn't work that way. So most school scholarships are issued from the institution. If Mississippi State gave a student a scholarship, they would expect that student to be using that scholarship at Mississippi State. Same with our foundation scholarships. If CTC issued a scholarship, then they expect the student to be attending CTC. I'm going to run
Fair
up
enough.
here and grab a bottle of water while I'm.
Okay. Well, that's a fair transition. While we're waiting for Pearl to get back, and we talked about she had hinted at veterans benefits, so let's throw it over to Lucette real quick. We'll talk about veterans benefits and how veterans can pay for school using those benefits and educational benefits and any other veteran services that we might be able to offer them. Hi, Lucette.
Hi, and welcome everybody. If you are a veteran or your parents are a veteran, you may be eligible for veteran benefits. And the way to see if you're eligible, you're going to actually go to va.gov and go through their application process. In that instance, they will determine how you qualify for your veterans benefits. And for us, you would fill out a separate application, which we affectionately call a VEC, and that's going to be found in your e-forms. So that's one particular way for veterans. If you are a Texas veteran or your parent entered the service in Texas, you are eligible for Hazelwood veteran benefits. So if you're interested in that, you too can also apply through eForms. And right now, I don't currently have a Hazelwood person that's designated for that, but we are getting some help from our financial aid office. Miss Brandy Sappenfeld is graciously stepping in to help me with that. Does anybody have any veteran questions before I go on? Or in particular, it's a little bit different than financial aid because there are multiple chapters and you qualify based on different things. And then it's a little different for financial aid because you have to report any drop classes that you have or additions that you have as a requirement by the Veterans Administration. And that's every term you have to reapply with that VEC so that we know exactly what classes you're taking. And again, if you drop the next term, you have to notify us immediately about that as well.
And real quick, Lisette, just to touch on everything you're touching on, for students, when you're talking to your academic advisor and you know you're going to be using VA benefits, make sure you request an official copy of your degree plan signed by an academic advisor because they're going to need that to know what classes to pay for. So to just avoid, wasting time, like if you talk to them and they say you need it, just go already have it prepared when you get there. And then that just minimizes the time it'll take for you to get your classes covered.
Absolutely. Another thing that typically you may be required to provide is a DD-214, which is the document that the veteran is given when they separate from the military. So again, it depends on which chapter that you qualify for or which program that you use for Hazelwood. I also cover consortium. So if you're a Texas A&M student, and you're receiving financial aid at Texas A&M, you can also use a consortium agreement to use financial aid to pay for your classes here. That application is going to be through A&M itself. It's a dynamic form, and you have to sign in with your Warrior account to get to that.
One more point, if you don't mind. Something I've noticed is when your students are using military benefits, we have great students, so it doesn't happen often, but sometimes your GPA does fall below a 2.0. If you're using VA benefits, you do need to submit an academic probation agreement, but you also need to make sure the exact classes that you're going to put on your VEC form and that you're going to enroll into are on that probation agreement. So they need to match. So that's just something else to be mindful of, okay?
Perfect. Thank you for adding that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. No VA questions or military benefits questions come through. So Lucette, if you want to add anything, feel free. There's
No, you know, we're open. So anytime you want to come up and visit with us, you can do that. You can contact veteran.services@ctcd.edu and ask any questions that you have there. Any staff is available and we'll be happy to get with you one-on-one. We also have the Vet Success folks on campus that are more than helpful. If your parents want to come up and speak with them, they can walk you through the process as well. We also have the Texas Veterans Commission that is going to be housed up here with Veteran Services in Building 215 as well. So we have a lot of different options to assist you with any veteran questions that you might have.
Right, appreciate that. One question that came through that's not related to that. I never got an email with my login information for the Eagle self-service after I was accepted into CTC. And why is that? I don't know if that's a Richard question or a Julie Starkey question or.
Well, Maricelli, I think, responded to that
Oh, did she?
individual and
Okay.
is sending an email and getting that taken care of. I also posted information about where students can access their self-service password. You have an initial login, and then after that, you set your password. So if you'll read that, if you'll go to that website, you'll get all the information about your initial login and then how to reset. Do understand now that when you do reset your password, it does have to be a 16-character passphrase now. So a combination of letters and numbers and all kinds of stuff, and minimum of 16 characters.
Great.
So basically, what I was telling her that, and what I'm going to do, and what if anybody is in this situation, you're expecting your admissions letter and you do not receive it for some reason, or you don't find it in your email within that first week after you completed your application, then you can contact admissions@ctcd.edu and verify that everything's okay, that you're not missing any documentation. So that way, if for some reason you are missing something, they can tell you exactly what they need. If they're not missing anything and they're ready to go, then they can go ahead and send you that letter again, just to make sure that you received it, and they can send it directly to you. And that's pretty much how that, if you don't get your letter of acceptance, that's who you contact and verify that you have all the documentation. Depending on your age, you know, sometimes you might need meningitis, proof of meningitis if you're trying to take a class in the campus. And so that might be a situation if you're 21 or young. I think it's under 21 that you have to have that meningitis shot. If for some reason maybe your parents are military and you're stationed in Texas and you're here under military orders, they may need a copy of your order so that you can get the in-state tuition rate and things of that nature. So there are some documents that they might require of you, and that may be why you haven't received it. But of course, the best way to go about it is to contact admissions directly and make sure that they have everything that they need.
Great. Thank you for that. That's very, very helpful. So appreciate that. All right. Now we talked about signing up for classes, paying for classes. Well, what happens when you get in class? Well, here to help us with some class delivery and some other helpful tips on finding that syllabus and using and quick tips on Blackboard and some other things that will be helpful to you is Dr. Reese from our business admin department. Dr. Reese, floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Eagles. We are excited that you are here with us today, and we know that there is a lot of information coming your way. I'm sure you're all either taking copious notes or sitting there thinking, wow, I still have a lot to do, or maybe just a few things to check off my list. So as you're taking those notes and as things maybe sound overwhelming or confusing, just jot it down. If you're not comfortable asking in front of all of us right now and in front of other people, that's okay. We are here to help you, whether it is today or tomorrow or next week or a month from now. Whenever it is that a question arises, I encourage you to please find someone that you're comfortable speaking with and ask those questions. Because even if we don't have the exact answer, I would never, if somebody asked me a question about financial aid, basically I am on an email quickly with Pearl and saying, hey, I need some help. So I know how to direct people. And that's how all of us here are at the college. We are here to support you. So anytime you have questions, ask. So today, tomorrow, the future, 3 months into your class, when you realize that you're overwhelmed and not sure what to do, Dean Starkey's going to talk to you about that. So just know that you're going to have questions. Please, please, please ask. Don't wait until the last minute. I'll give you an example. I have an 8-week class that ended last Friday, and a student emailed me on Friday at 4 o'clock at the end of that 8-week period saying they couldn't get any of their exams to work. There were 5 exams in the class. They emailed me at 4:30. So basically they had from 4:30 until midnight to take all of those exams with a technical issue that involved a third party to help them. And it wasn't something that couldn't be fixed. It was just something that waiting until the very last minute to ask that question, even though the student probably had it for a few weeks and just felt uncomfortable asking me, which is not a big deal. Just bring in that comfort. We're here for you. We want to support you in everything that you do. So number one, I will tell you the biggest thing is ask questions. Number two, where can you find the answer? If maybe you want to try to find it yourself, read the syllabus. So once you are in your courses, whether they are in person or they are online through our Blackboard, LMS, basically our virtual classroom, there's a syllabus. That is basically your roadmap to success in every course. Every course's syllabus is going to be different. Every course is going to have different instructors, different due dates, different structures and assignments. So if you're taking 5 classes or 2 classes, make sure that you have that syllabus handy so that you can read over it, see what the requirements are, and what you need to do to be successful in the class. Bruce mentioned that I'll go over Blackboard a little bit. Blackboard, as I said, is our virtual platform, if you will. Almost every single one of our classes at CTC, for the most part, there are exceptions, but most of them use a component of Blackboard. Even if it is a lecture course on campus, they might use Blackboard for the syllabus, the assignments, and the exams. Or you might be in one of those online classes that Richard was talking to you about, where everything is in Blackboard. I can't really I could show you Blackboard today, but that's not the purpose of this presentation today. We do have a recorded. If you're just somebody that is excited and wants to see what it looks like, I'm going to link into the chat our CTC live page here in a moment, or if somebody else can, that has all of our recorded sessions. I believe I spent 45 minutes one day going over Blackboard and all of the ins and then outs and what to click on and what's a discussion board, what's a case study, how do I message my instructor, so that you can see all of those things. The reason I don't show it in too much depth today is because you don't have access yet. So even if you have enrolled and you are ready for classes starting in August for fall, you can't access Blackboard until 3 days prior to the class starting. So even if I showed you how to do it today, you couldn't do anything with it. So again, Blackboard is where you find all of the great things you need to know about your individual class. Another thing that I wanted to point out, when Richard was showing you Eagle Self-Serve and the different types of classes, he mentioned to you that there were lecture, there's online 100%, there's self-paced online classes, there's all these different delivery modes that we offer. He also mentioned that even if it's self-paced, that there is going to be at least one assignment that you have to do in that very first week. Then after that, for the most part, again, your syllabus will tell you the specifics, but for most of our self-paced courses, you have that first week assignment that has to be completed or you are going to be dropped. Logging into into Blackboard does not count as a first week assignment. You need to log in, look at the syllabus. On page 2, it will tell you, this is the assignment I want you to complete before this date. Make sure that you do that. And that way you'll be able to stay in class. Those self-paced courses though, where he mentioned that you have until the last day of class, basically, all of our due dates are suggested. That's true. So if you are somebody that can stay on top of it and make sure that you're not getting behind, that might be a good option for you. Or if you're going to be traveling and know that you're going to have or not have rather, excuse me, internet connectivity throughout that entire time, that might be a good option for you. But you run the risk of running into the example that I told you, to where this one student probably thought, no big deal, I'll wait till the last day. I have all this time. I'm going to sit down and take all of my tests at once. And then he ran into a technical issue. So, so don't wait till the last minute, okay? If you're going to take those self-paced courses. One other thing that I like to share with you, just to be thinking about as you are going through all of those steps that have been given so far and all of the things that you need to check the box for to get started, it can become overwhelming. I already said it, but it's always worth saying again, is ask those questions as they arise. And as you get more comfortable and start talking to your faculty, and as you get active in your classes, make sure to let them know what you're interested in, what your goal is. You might not realize the different options that you have, and that there are a lot of programs that we have to support you along the way. So you might have sat with your advisor and said, you know, my ultimate goal is to get my degree from Texas A&M Central Texas, and they work with you on the best plan. And then as you're going through your classes, you think, wow, something else caught your eye and sounds exciting. Well, talk to us about what that exciting topic was in business. Or a lot of students will, through conversation, will let me know that they want to be an entrepreneur. They want to start their own businesses. Well, as that information starts coming out, then we can help you with the right courses to take and making sure that your plan and moving forward is as you intend. So with that, I will turn it back over if there aren't any questions.
No questions came through about classes. Are there going to be any SVL classes this semester? Do you know?
I know for the business department, there will be SVL courses. I can't speak to the others, but I can let you know that for sure we're going to have an accounting 2301 and an accounting 2302, as well as an introduction to business, and I believe a human resource management and marketing.
Okay, and for those of you who are not familiar, synchronous virtual learning, that's SVL. That's what we're pretty much doing right now. You have an assigned class. Let's say, for example, you're supposed to be in a class at 10 o'clock in the morning. You'll log onto your computer, your phone, or whatever device at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you'll sit just like this, hear the instructor, be able to ask the instructor questions, and get the lecture via WebEx, Blackboard, Zoom, or whatever the SVO is. But it's just like this setting here, as opposed to an online course where you're pretty much on your own. So it'll be an interactive session, just like you're sitting in a classroom, only you're in the comfort of wherever it is that you may be, your couch, your home, or wherever. So anyway, so that's another option for class delivery. Another question that came up, and Pearl, I want you to answer this one, even though you kind of typed in the answer. It came from Facebook, so they might not have access to our chat. And the person wants to know if any grants or scholarship applications were still open for the fall.
Right, and on that, I did put out there in the chat that if there are any grants or any scholarships remaining, it would be from the foundation office. So I put that information there. Also, for any other grants at this time, we are out of funding. So students were quite aware of the HERF grants, ARP, Carissa, all of those grants, and that funding has all been exhausted at this time. So we do not have any available funding from those resources that we've had in the last year for the fall term.
Okay, and I know for the CTC Foundation Scholarship, the online application is closed until early in the spring semester. I believe it opens again in January, and then you can apply for a scholarship through the foundation at that time online. So, all right. So thank you, Dr. Reitz. We appreciate you. I don't see any questions else coming through. So
Mind if I chime in real quick?
jump on it, Richard.
Cool. So I got a private chat, and they were asking about a class and it being offered. It was about speech 1311. And it appears that I guess they couldn't find it or whatever. So I'm about to share my screen again and just show you guys something to be mindful of. Boom, bam. So hopefully you can see that.
Yes.
Cool. So this is the class they were talking about, Speech 1311, Introduction to Speech Communication. If you notice that, let's say Speech 1315, Public Speaking, it says view available sections, you can click on it and it shows you all the different times and days and stuff. That option is not available for Introduction to Speech Communication. So that would indicate that the class is not being offered right now. I would not be able to say if and when it is offered, but you can always reach out to the department directly to see if they have an idea on when that's going to be offered again. And for the speech, that's going to be the communications department. On top of that, I'm not too sure why somebody would be taking that course, but I want to just make sure that it is not to meet your speech requirement. What I'm showing right now is the academic core curriculum, and it basically shows kind of what I was saying earlier. If you need a creative arts class, you can go here and it'll show you all the classes.
Can you make it bigger?
Sure. I was making it small so that you can see everything, but no, cool. How's that? How's that?
There you go.
But same concept, you can go whatever section you need to, let's say creative arts, and all these classes will fulfill that. If you go to communications, you see that our core speech classes are 1315, 1318, and 1321. So 1311 would not be a core requirement for speech. Now, if you're planning on transferring to a different school and that's the specific speech that they want, then I can understand you taking that. But if you're trying to meet your speech requirements with Central Texas College, or any other, Texas institution that requires a core communications course, that might not be the best one to be selecting. So that's just something to be mindful of. And real quick, this is our Texas catalog. It shows you a lot of other stuff in here. You can get all the degrees in here. The way that I got to this is if you got to our main webpage and you scroll down all the way to quick links, you'll see where it says course catalog. And then you can pick whatever school year you're looking at. I did the 2021, 2022 school year. That's the only one that's up there right now. I'm sure the next one is going to be coming out soon. But then,
It will be.
now we're here, and then now you can actually use this to, get all that helpful information. And this is where we get a lot of our information as academic advisors on, how to deal with certain procedures, or if you have questions about your classes, we'll go here to confirm, things of that nature. So students have access to this resource, and it's very valuable because it kind of gives them, some information if they can't get in touch with us. And if you have questions, we can always clarify. But that was the question I received about 1311, and that was my little spiel. Right now, it doesn't look like it's available. In addition to that, just make sure it is meeting the requirements of your degree before you sign up for something.
Thank you, Richard. Go ahead, Pearl.
Richard, I get a lot of questions from students that tell me, I don't know what classes I need to take next. And I typically tell them, and let me know if I'm wrong, but that they should be able to view their degree plan in student self-serve and see what classes that they need. And I usually say start at the top and work your way down to the bottom, and you won't go wrong. But I just wanted to throw that out there to see if there is another way or if they're given any other information. But I get that quite a lot. I don't know what classes to take next.
For sure. One of the best ways to figure out is to contact our department, and we'll talk to you, walk you through it. But like you said, one of the best ways to go for themselves is Eagle Self-Service. And unfortunately, like I said, I don't have a degree plan, so I couldn't pull mine up. But on there, it'll list all the different classes you would need. Something else you can do is, referring back to this Texas catalog, all of our degrees are in there. So if you pull it up, it'll tell you what you need for your degree. You don't need to follow this specifically. This is a recommended breakdown of classes, but I like the way they set it up because in the first semester, you see they have you take composition 1, and those skills are going to be valuable for, basically every other class you take on that degree. If something comes up where composition 1 isn't available and you can't take it in your first semester, that's fine. You can still pick other classes. This isn't a set concrete, flow, but this is a recommended schedule. So if you don't know what to take, what classes to pair with, you can refer to this. Or you can refer to your Eagle Self-Service to make sure that the class hasn't already been completed or anything like that. But it is a little bit difficult to navigate. I will mention that for somebody who's never seen it before. So if you have questions, definitely ask us, and we can give you the guidance you need.
That's a great roadmap, Richard, because that will help eliminate a lot of issues for students taking classes they don't necessarily need.
I just
Whether they
realized I
know
wasn't
where they
sharing my
wanna
screen.
go,
Sorry.
That's fine. Whether students want to know where they're going or not, that's going to help them, take classes that will help them decide. And plus, they're not going to waste their time taking and their money taking classes they don't necessarily need. So we appreciate that. So
For sure. So yeah, and this was that degree plan I was talking about for agricultural science. If you're on it, It'll let you know what to take first semester, second semester. Again, you don't have to follow it, but it is there to give you some structure if you need it.
Well,
Right.
and keep in mind for financial aid, if you don't take a class that's required on that degree plan, we won't pay for it either. So
True,
that's
true.
another good reason to follow that degree plan.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Richard, if you can stop sharing your screen, I'm going to share mine for just a
Sure.
second. Dr. Reese put a good little note in the chat for those who had questions about Blackboard. We did a CTC live not too long ago on how to access Blackboard and some of the ins and outs of Blackboard. So I'm going to share my screen just a second here and show you. We're at the CTC homepage. And if you go to About CTC, then come down to under CTC Connect, the news link, click on the news, and here's another link for CTC Live. If you'll click on that, this will take you to all the previous CTC Live sessions that were held. And those of you who had questions about the TSI testing, there's one on the Testing Center, which gives you the ins and outs about testing. And we'll keep scrolling on down, and eventually you can see Veteran Services. We've got information on financial aid, Veteran Services, transcripts even, more financial aid, and here in the middle, using Blackboard. And that'll give you some great tips on how to use Blackboard initially and get you going. So that's just one avenue for you, and appreciate you, Dr. Reese, for bringing that point up. So thank you for that. All right, moving on. Julie Dean Starkey is going to talk to us about student success and persistence and all of the student services available, such as the academic studio for tutoring services and some of the other events that we have coming up that might be of interest to students. So take it away, Julie.
All right, guys. The most important thing is we want you to come to CTC and to be successful. And to do that, you've got to use the resources that are at your fingertips that we provide for you. And Dr. Reese talked about probably one of the most important resources, and that's your faculty members. And so I want to encourage all students, you've got to get to know your faculty. You've got to ask them questions. You've got to talk with them. You've got to read their syllabus because all of the important information is on that. You've got to follow their directions. You've got to ask those questions. That is your number one resource for each of your classes is your faculty member. And I cannot stress that enough, the importance of getting to know your faculty. And a good place to start before is to read your syllabus. It's so important. But I want to talk about other resources because you are so lucky, to be at a place like CTC because we just have a wealth of resources to support you. Everything from counseling services. If you are a student who in high school received accommodations and things like that, our disability support services area is here to help you and to get certain accommodations ready for you as well. We have things for career services so that we can help you build a resume, help you with interviewing skills, help you find that job. Maricelli's, on our call, Maricelli Wave. She's all of our new student programs, all of our programmings, clubs, organization, leadership, all of that stuff happens over in her area. And it's a great way for you to get connected. Another place is the academic studio where we do a ton of things to help support students. From the main one being tutoring. We are not the only place on campus that does tutoring. And I want you to use tutoring day one. We do not want you sitting in a class, confused and lost, and 3, 4, 5 weeks, you decide to walk through the door and ask for tutoring. We want you to come in. It is okay to walk in the door day one and just say, hey, can I work with a tutor just to make sure I'm understanding this concept? We value that. And please understand, at the academic studio, we do tutoring. You can do walk-in, you can do face-to-face, you can ask for an online appointment, and we will do all of that for you. But we also have other places on this campus that also support you. The library is amazing. I want every person to walk through our library, the front door, go to every level, get to know the library and what they offer. I want you to get on their website and I want you to explore how to get a journal article, how to print a journal article. But one of the big ones that you're going to need to know very quickly is they have a paper service where they will review your papers for citations. Here at the college level, you do scholarly writing. Everything is scholarly writing, and you have to cite it and you have to do it accurately. And you can get yourself in trouble if you don't do it accurately and you don't do it correctly. And the library is an excellent resource to help you do it correctly. The academic studio, we will also review your papers, but we also will help you if you're struggling with a paper concept, like you can't even get started and you don't know, how to form this paragraph or what all your paragraphs should be. That's really what we do. And then the library can help with reviewing that paper and making sure you're not committing plagiarism and you're using the right citations and you're doing all of that correctly. So I wanted you to be aware of all of those resources. We also have housing. So if you're interested in living on campus, please check us out. It's Morton Hall. It's a great opportunity for, if that's what you're looking for, if that's what you're needing. We have a lot of things coming up that I want you to be aware of. We have new student orientation coming up. We are offering 2 sessions that are virtual and 1 that's going to be in person. Our 2 virtual, one of them will be in the evening. That'll be August 2nd. And that'll start at 5:30. Our other virtual one is August 18th, which is closer to the start of school. And that one will start at 9. And again, those will be virtual, kind of a similar format to this, a lot of the same information, but we'll go into more detail about some of those things. Our in-person one is August 10th. And that'll be 9 a.m. over in the science building. This is going to be our first in-person new student orientation since COVID. So we're very excited to reintroduce that and to bring students back and to get to know them in another format. So I definitely want everybody, if you can, take the time, we want you to participate in new student orientation. That is your number 1 step towards success, is participating in those types of programs. We have an open house coming up. July 23rd, 9 to noon, right over in the Anderson Campus Center. All of our academic departments, our CTE departments, all of that will be represented. So very cool campus tours, hot dogs, root beer floats, presentations, you name it. We have a ton of stuff going on, so I hope you'll come out. And then we also are planning 2 weeks of welcome, and there's a ton of stuff happening during welcome week. The big one is always our welcome bash. Our theme this year is anime. And again, we have a lot of fun things happening all over campus to introduce students to resources, to departments, to letting students meet one another, to let students meet faculty. So there's just so much going on. I do want to give a special plug. Morgan is on the call. Morgan, wave. We have a ton of new services being offered to students that are CTE students, our career technical education. It is amazing, the funding and the opportunities that we have for textbook lending and instructional materials. Transportation support, not just buses anymore. We're giving out gas cards. And the other one is childcare. We used to only be able to give $50 a child. She's upping it to $90. So there's so many great things. I don't want to go into all of that. And she's going to do a special session specifically on all of her wonderful things. But I just want you to know there are so many great opportunities, great ways that we support students. But the most important thing is, if you get lost, you get confused, anything, you've got to reach out to us. You've got to ask your question, ask your faculty. But I also, in the chat, I listed other resources. Good ones are Eagles on Call. That's over in Richards area. They are an excellent resource and that it doesn't matter the question, ask, they're going to direct you. Call Student Life and Activities. That area is going to direct you. And the academic studio over in our area, there's not a dumb question. Those are safe places to start with. And we will get you where we need you to be, we promise. So please, please, please ask your question.
Great.
That's all I have.
Thank you,
It
Dean.
was a lot because I wanted to be cognizant of the time, and I still went over, and I apologize.
No, you're fine. You're fine. We appreciate it. It's good information to have. A couple of one shout out on Facebook. Jeff Smith, thank you very much for your comments and good luck with your doctorate degree. Also, a question came in. How do I pay for the dorms? Do you have to pay for them up front?
You have to have your you can apply for financial aid, and you can apply your aid to your housing bill. And so you can do that, and then in which case you're fine and you can go ahead and move in. If you don't have enough aid though, you do have to enter into a payment plan with the business office, and you have to be in good standing with the business office, and that then allows you to move into the residence hall.
Great. Thank you for that. Hope that answered your question. Any other questions? We'll take a few more minutes, so please ask away on Facebook or type them here in the chat. Or if you've got a microphone, feel free to chime in and ask. But in the meantime, I'm going, as Dean Starkey introduced her briefly, I'd like to say, hey, Mariceli Santiago, excuse me, and just say a few words about student life. I know you're trying to get some student ambassadors and you're trying to get the clubs going again. So kind of talk briefly about what we have to offer the students as far as clubs and work opportunities.
Yeah, so one of the main things that a lot of people don't realize that, college is not just about getting your classes and getting your degree. It's also learning how to become interactive, how to meet people, how to handle situations that might be difficult and do it in an educational manner, in a way, in a place where you can make mistakes and it's okay. So that's why we really encourage you to participate in clubs and organizations. We have quite a few of them out there that are seeking students, and we hope that you'll come to. Once you're a student, we'll have the welcome bash will be happening September 1st, and we'll have a few of those clubs in there, or if not all of them. Hopefully, they'll have their tables ready to go. You can meet them. You can actually have the chance of seeing if there's something out there for you. We have everything, we have an otaku club that likes anime. We have Net
Rotaract.
Impact that is business oriented. I'm sorry?
Rotaract.
Community service.
Yeah. And so there's just a lot of stuff, that's going to be, happening, and we want to make sure. I'm also going to be starting student government, so if you're interested in that, that's something that definitely want you to reach out and let me know about. And we have a writers guild that is very active out of the library. Yes. Let's see. Psi Beta Honor Society. That's one of the psychology honor societies, as well as Phi Theta Kappa. We just have quite a lot of things out there for you. If you're interested, we have it for you. If you don't find it and you're interested in starting your own club, then you just let me know. We'll help you figure out how to start your own a club or organization.
Yeah, and that's the beauty, real quick, Amanda. That's the beauty of the different clubs there. There's something for everybody. There's community service clubs, there's school-related, academic-related clubs, there's entertainment kind of clubs like the anime that you said, and even social clubs of the Gay Straight Alliance or some other kind of organization like that that you might be interested in. So we have something for everybody.
Yep. So we're really starting a new, there's quite a few that after the pandemic kind of struggled, but they're trying to come back. So we really want to make sure that you guys reach out to them if you're interested in any of these groups and become, socially active with somebody. A lot of the times, if you have questions, your organization or your club can help you figure it out, whether it be another member that has already gone through it, or sometimes just the sponsor. It ends up being a mother hen, father hen kind of figurine, where they end up helping other students figure out life and things that they have to do. So it's really important that you go ahead and participate in that. We're currently also hiring. If you go to the CTC employment page, we have in student life alone, we're looking for college ambassadors, and I'm also looking for a student worker that you can come, and we are pretty flexible with your schedule as a student. We'll keep that in mind. And then I'm just going to throw in there that the academic studio is always looking for tutors, specifically accounting is one of the big ones that we're always looking for. So definitely, if you have some accounting credits under your belt and you need a part-time job that will work with you, that is definitely something that you want to do, and go ahead and reach out and check out the CTC employment page. I will also give a little reminder plug. Financial aid is constantly looking for also people or students that want to work out of the financial aid office, and we always are looking for them as well because they help.
So is VA.
And so is the VA. Thank you. Yes, they have their own group that they hire, and just to help through financial aid and all of that. So we have opportunities out there. These are employment opportunities that are extremely flexible for students. Not all employers are flexible for your classes. These are these are different opportunities that you might have where, yeah, oh, you have a class, you have to go to class. Okay, go to class, and then we'll figure out everything around you. So if you don't know what to do, if you don't know how to figure it out, please reach out to Student Life. We are here for you. We definitely like to help and guide our students and just anybody in the community, really. If you're interested and have questions, we also have tours that we give. You're welcome to request some tours from our website, and we'll go ahead and help you, whether it be in person or virtual. That's part of what we do as well. So if you, after this, you end up having a whole bunch of questions that you really want addressed a little bit more, then please reach out to Student Life and we'll get you set up with a tour.
Right. And you mentioned the employment thing. One thing in Dean Starkey's area, she mentioned the career services. They offer internship opportunities. As a matter of fact, I've got 3 calls this week for companies wanting to post their internship possibilities through us. So we send them to Keisha Holman, the director of the Career Services Center, and she posts them up. So there are other options as well. And internships are a great way to lead to full-time jobs. So throwing that out there. All right. Well, we appreciate everyone's help today setting this up and going through it. And students, we appreciate your participation. So last chance for questions on this Q&A session.
Bruce, I
Yes,
feel
sir.
very bad because I forgot to mention classes start August 22nd. So the last day for you to self-enroll is going to be August 21st.
Right,
So you
that's
can add and
online.
drop classes all the way up until August 21st. After
Okay.
that, if you have an issue, you need to drop a class, late register, you do need to contact our offices and we can help you out with that. The classes start August 21st, last day for you to self-enroll. Oh, classes start August
21st.
22nd.
Yes.
Last day for you to self-enroll is August 21st.
Don't beat yourself up, Richard. We were just going to get to that point as we close out when
For
classes start.
sure.
So you're good to go. We
My
appreciate you
boss
doing
would have
that.
got me.
And I'm going to use this pun intentionally, and no offense, Pearl, but anybody, Dr. Reese, Lucette, Dean Starkey, and Morgan, Pearl, last pearls of wisdom for anybody.
Don't wait till the last minute.
Be proactive.
Ask questions.
Ask questions for financial aid for sure.
Great.
Turn
Sounds
everything in, everything.
And don't forget to check your syllabus as well. So
Yes.
that's another biggie when classes start. So, all right. Well, we certainly appreciate everyone's attention today and your great questions and your feedback. So, again, this session will be available on YouTube later on today. So, if there's anything you need to review or share with a friend, please look on our CTC YouTube page and it will be there. And we'll get your questions answered. We'll have another Q&A coming up, hopefully in a Spanish version coming up, scheduled for July 21st. So Maricela and I are going to work out the kinks on that. So we'll get that rolling. And then we'll have new student orientation again. The 2 virtuals are coming up. August 2nd will be the first virtual. August 10th will be an in-person, and August 18th will be another virtual. But keep in mind, you only need to attend one of those new student orientations. You don't have to sit through all 3. Just make sure you attend one of those. And we put 3 out there in person, so you can pick the one that best fits your schedule and your comfort zone. So again, you have options. All right. So anything else from anybody else before we sign off? Everybody's good. All right. Thank you all again. We appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to hearing from you and seeing you in class. And welcome to being an Eagle. And again, keep your questions going to those phone numbers and email addresses that were listed in the chat. So thanks again, everybody. Take care.
Bye, Eagles.